Yes,
Hello.
yes, yes. Hello. I look at people and I see, man, when they grin or smile, it's like this big thing. And like when you come on, I think, man, I've got this huge grin on my face. And then I look at the video and like, no, not really.
I know exactly what you mean. I often
Yeah,
think,
it's like, man, it feels like I'm going to swallow my ears, but no, it
yeah,
doesn't look that way.
I often think I'm making some really strong facial expression, and then you look later and it's
Yeah, yeah.
nothing at all.
So I had a chance to look at a few more of your TikTok videos. Why don't you share them to Facebook? That's what I can't just keep on saying.
Oh, well, I don't know. Sometimes I do, but
Yeah, well, all of them, they're fantastic. They're genius.
well, I appreciate
Really
it.
awesome. And the next time you make a video, when it's fresh, when it comes on, please tag me or tell me right away, right? And let me
Okay.
know. I mean, like in Facebook, because I don't always have TikTok open, right?
Right.
Uh, but anyway, because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, depending on the video now, of course, but if it's like one of those that's very funny or whatever, right? I'm going to say all the people who see this and like it, please put a smiley face or a thumbs up or a dot or something
Right.
in the comments, right? Just to know that it's there.
Right.
And because like one person said that you're very underappreciated, and so it takes one post where you've got 500 followers. If everybody starts to make a little comment, everybody's going to see it, and then it gets spread more, and it's just the way the algorithm works.
Right.
So it's a help Erica party where we all comment. Doesn't matter what you comment, like I say, even if you just put a period there, that's
Right.
fine, to boost you and then kick you into a different level and a category.
Wow.
Because man, your stuff is awesome. It's really it's a super wasted, and the underappreciated freaking Philistines out there.
Uh, well,
Philistines. I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
again, if you don't appreciate it, then you don't have a brain. Sorry.
well,
You know.
I was
Yeah.
saying the other day, so one person who's commented on a couple of the same videos you have is Kyle Larson Music, I think is his account name. He is my guitar teacher, and
I was going to say I've heard that name before. Yeah.
he said the other day I went to my grill and
Ask
chill.
him if Kyle is misspelled Glenn.
Huh?
Ask him if Kyle is misspelled Glenn.
What?
Just ask him. Just ask him.
Okay.
If he gets the joke, it'll be very funny. If he doesn't, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Misspelled Glenn. I have never
Yeah.
heard this.
Yeah. 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 Well, what am I saying, right? Kyle Larson. Well, if his name is Kyle misspelled as Glenn, then he'd be Glenn Larson, right?
I don't know who Glenn Larson is.
Therein lies the joke. See?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Glenn Larson is the guy from Far Side, the
Okay.
artist,
Okay.
the guy who does the Far Side cartoon, right? So,
I like it. I like it.
yeah. So it's a very roundabout way because it's Far Side humor, you see.
Um,
Anyway, sorry, you were saying I
no,
interrupted
that's
you.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Um, when I went to Grill and Chill this last Tuesday,
To
um,
where?
Grill and Chill, that's my guitar group that gets together. It's
Oh, it's called Grill and Chill.
now in
Wow.
the winter we don't do any grilling, but in the summer
Gotcha.
the
Gotcha.
owner of the music school had everybody over to his house every Tuesday evening, and he would make dinner out on the grill, and then we would play guitar together. And it's really fun. During the winter, we get together at the school. Um, but anyway, Kyle said when I was at this last grill and chill session, he said, oh, I really love your TikToks. They're really like, I forget how he said it, but he said, that you're getting like better and better at doing them. They're really good. And I said, well, I appreciate it. And somebody else said something about what, like, what are you supposed to do on TikTok, or how is it supposed to work or something? And I said, well, that's the thing, is that if you're really genuinely trying to be successful on TikTok, like if you're trying to get a bunch of viewers, it's kind of like any other social, like Instagram is the same way. All of the advice is pick one thing and
Yeah.
stick with that. Don't deviate from that one
Yeah.
thing at all.
Yeah.
Like pick your lane
Yeah.
and stay
Yeah.
in. And I said, for me,
Be niche ridiculous.
right. And I said, for me, like, I understand that that's what you're supposed to do. That's not how I'm using the platform.
No,
I'm kind of
no.
all over the place. I said, I'm just sort of like experimenting with different things. I said, because of that, I have this like wide range of people. I said, I got a bunch of followers when I first joined because I was only posting chicken videos. And because of that, TikTok was like showing my videos to a bunch of chicken people. And I got all of
Yeah.
these followers who are chicken people. And then I started posting all these different things. I said, probably all of the chicken people that follow me are like, what is this? Why is this showing up on my.
Oh, they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I said,
I can do a good chicken squawk. Right, I tried.
I know I'm not I know I'm not following the general guidelines of using TikTok to gain some big following. And I'm okay with that. I'm just kind of like posting. It's really more of a practice for me.
Yes. By the way, talking about practice, or not by the way, but talking about practice, please share the laugh video to group.
Okay.
Yeah. And not for its comedic effect. This is a bonus.
Okay.
But for its capital P practice.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And also for the celebration of Nincompoopery.
Yes. Yes.
And also for engaging your childlike side.
Yes.
And also for overcoming self-importance.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, what you do, very few can do.
Interesting.
Yes. So if you really want to grow and you want to test and see if you can grow, two things. If you want to open up your portals for growing, do what Erica Jayne did.
Okay.
It will free you up tremendously, because once you are able to be ridiculous on camera, you have a freedom that you never knew you had.
Yes.
Right. And now you've unlocked the gates of hell.
Yes.
Yeah. All your demons are going to come out.
Right.
But you get I'm playing with it, but still, it is tremendously self-empowering. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that's why I wanted to share it, and even make all this comment if you want to, but I certainly will in the comments there.
Okay.
This is if there's one simple thing, all those people, you want a quick fix for your self-improvement, do what Erica did. And post your videos.
Right.
That's the key. Yeah. I mean, to do it on your own is already a skill. Yeah. Right. It's privately. And that's already going to overcome much of your uptightness and your narrowness. But to do it on video, this is even more important. Yeah. So, I think all this anti-mask, anti-vax is simply because of self-importance. The people think they feel ridiculous wearing the mask.
I agree.
And now they make up these long stories to justify.
Right. Oh my gosh, I saw that. I try really hard to not engage in a lot of the like kind of mean-spirited things that go around from a political perspective, but every once in a while one will really get me. And I saw one yesterday. Somebody posted a video that said, this is what anti-vaxxers think they look like, or like think they're doing when they're refusing the vaccine. And it had a clip of oh my gosh, what's the movie with Mel Gibson where he's the the blue-faced man. He's like, yeah. I think it was that, either that or it was the one where he plays like the Patriot.
The jungle, yeah.
So anyway, it was that kind of an idea where it was like, raw freedom, woo. And it had all of these soldiers and they're all like, yes, And so this is what anti-vaxxers think they look like when they're refusing vaccines. And then it said, here's what they really look like. And it was this video of this really unfortunate looking, like partially toothless chihuahua that somebody was trying to give it a shot and it was going,
brilliant. Oh, I loved the video with Aurora. I laughed and
Oh
laughed.
my God. I'm glad you appreciated it.
Oh,
it's so funny because I post like when I post the chicken videos,
Yeah.
the chicken community everywhere is like the most supportive. Chicken people are
Oh, good.
crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anytime I post chicken videos, people are like, "This is amazing." And anytime I post a video of the dogs, like nobody, it's so funny. Nobody comments.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
posted that video of Aurora, and I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious because, it's a subtle satire of the song.
Right, right,
Right. I mean, it's not just about making it, it's the ludicrousness of the way he is enunciating and making the sound of the song, and I mean, the sort of that the satire of the implied sort of self-pity that's involved, right?
right, right,
Yeah. I mean, the subtlety there is just too fantastic.
right.
Yeah. I mean, they miss the genius of the song choice for doing
Well,
that.
well, and it's funny because I love that song. I mean, I love that guy's. That's a cover of a like '90s R&B song, and I love it. I mean, I think he does an amazing job. But I always laugh.
Yeah.
I'm horrible at doing runs. My voice just does not work that way, and I always laugh at people. I mean, people who can do that, it blows my mind. But when you watch them, I mean, you never get to see them singing, right? You always are hearing this incredible stuff. And when you watch them singing, that really I mean, I mean, that's really what they're always making these really ridiculous faces where they're like, you, or like do something weird with their lips, like I always think it always makes me laugh.
No, I thought that was so brilliantly done. And then, Aurora's sort of like her eye looking at you like, seriously, Human, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, she was not amused.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So seriously, in Urdu is acha. So I don't know. It's like acha, human, human.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
I just like acha. Yeah, I hear Bina say it all the time, and I crack up whenever I hear it because I don't know what the context is. So I always envisage all this ridiculous
right,
context.
right. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. That
Yeah,
also
it was too
made me
great. It's too
that-
great. So I'm watching them little by little. I watched the more recent ones, and I don't know why the chicken one, not the chicken one, the laugh one came up because that's quite an old one.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was front and center. But anyway, I'm gonna go watch them from day one now. I'll go through
Okay.
each one. I have to be thorough,
Wow.
So I'll watch them all. I'll watch them all. So yeah, but I do enjoy them. I just think it's fabulous. So I'll say, share it to Facebook. It's really cool.
I shared them to my stories.
But they don't last, those stories, Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of my very favorites. I just happened to catch Rora. Stop. Stop. Ugh. I just happened to catch this video just perfectly and then found this awesome. That's part of the subtle nuance of TikTok to me is there's a lot of skill. People who are really good at making TikTok videos, there's a lot of skill that goes into it, but there's also a lot of just kind of circumstantial, like you have to just come across just the right sound to pair with the video and everything. So this one, I just happened to find the right sound. I miraculously caught this on video. I was filming the chickens outside in the yard, and so I was filming Pearl, and she was it's this kind of majestic looking, shot. She's like standing. I had the phone down on her level, so she's kind of in the frame, and she's standing there, and she's like eating grass. And Ethel is behind her, but you can't see that because she's a little back, and so you don't know she's there. And then all of a sudden, something happened. There was like a noise behind them or something, and all of a sudden, Ethel, she is my favorite part of the whole video. She comes shooting out from behind Pearl and runs past her. And the way she's running, have you ever seen Naruto running?
Yes.
Behind.
Yeah.
That if a chicken could Naruto run, it is Naruto running. It is the weird.
Naruto,
She has
yeah.
her head down and she's got her wings back and she just goes Drew, and like shoots past Pearl and it scares Pearl and she jumps straight up in the air, just whoop. And Ethel is like this streak running past, and I found this perfect audio for it. That there's this like sound, and then somebody goes ah or something. It's oh my gosh, it's hysterical.
I gotta watch this now. I gotta watch this now. All right, so I still have TikTok open, so let me screen share, and then you can tell me which one it is. I just see that little clip of the one with Aurora, and it just makes me laugh.
Okay.
And your laugh one, but you know what I enjoyed was the little captions. I mean, beside your laugh, I mean the laugh itself is there, but the captions make it. They add that bonus. Oh, it's too fantastic, right? I mean, we're the one where you kind of lean forward and you know you say, I don't know, reconsidering life or something. Yes. And the dog's comments, just every one of them, they were genius. All right, so which one am I looking at?
It's further up, I think. Yeah, keep going. Oh, okay, wait. I gotta see.
Well, I didn't think it was any of these, right?
I don't know. I can't see.
Oh, they don't show the pictures. Oh.
Yeah, it's not loading them. This is okay. There, it's the one that says "Quit sneaking up on me." I was practicing. My pun writing as well.
I heard just the start, and then it started loading.
Oh no!
Could sneak in up on me. Yeah, brilliant! I love that. I love that.
Writing.
Yeah. Hang on. I gotta get more volume here. I gotta put my music off. Hold on.
Oh my god! It makes me laugh every time.
Yes. The gross overreaction.
Yeah.
But you know, the other part is that little walk afterwards, right? It's this ridiculous fright, but then you're all casual and cool, you know. Yeah. No, you didn't really scare me. No, you didn't really scare me. Yeah. I wasn't actually frightened.
I love Ethel running in the background. Oh my god, she just kills me.
So this is Pearl and Ethel running the Naruto run, yes. Yes. But no, I think that Ethel was kind of gunning for Pearl a little bit.
She could have been. Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is too good. This is too good. This is too good.
God, yeah, that
I'll come back and make more comments. But yeah, I mean, come on, people, you've got to make more comments. You've got to boost Erica Jayne. She's making fantastic comments.
Wow, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's really fun. TikTok to me, you know, it gets a bad rap. There are definitely there are definitely questionable things, but to me, it's such a cool platform.
Yeah. I agree. But you know, it's a lot of extra work, but still, you know, you put it on all the platforms and you see what happens. You know, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. You know,
right.
Twitter. Yeah. You know, there is an app called Buffer.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the one Joe just applied to a company called Buffer?
Oh, okay. So what Buffer does is you make one post and it posts it to all your things.
Joe.
So I used to use Buffer quite a lot.
Joe just applied for a job at Buffer.
Well, there you go. So this might be worth it for you because now you're only posting once, you know.
Right.
The reason I stopped using it, well, I don't post so much anymore, but also they didn't have, like the sites that I wanted it for, I had to pay. So there was a downside to it.
Right.
And then you can schedule it as well. Okay. So let's say you make 10 videos and you want to post it over the week, you can schedule it. So that's very helpful too. So yeah, it definitely is very useful for doing this. But you know, I feel like the stuff that you're putting out, such quality stuff, that also, if it clicks with people, that this is, not that you want to necessarily go big, but it doesn't hurt, you don't have to do something with the following, but if you have a following, you can do something with it.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that you necessarily want to, but it gives you options. So
Yeah.
but I just love them. I haven't seen anything yet where I said like, oh. Yeah, if I do, I will try and find a meme, of somebody doing this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did one video where I was practicing being a nincompoop on camera and just not worrying about it.
Brilliant.
I
Brilliant. But
told,
this is power. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
I told was it just one? I think I told a bad joke, like
Brilliant. Brilliant.
and that one is cringe worthy, but it was fun.
Oh, brilliant.
It was
Oh, brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Um, I had telling the jokes. We did it for a while, but it was a big flop. It didn't really work.
Oh.
A part of Morna's project. Remember, I said I want to bring in telling jokes,
Right.
and people come into it. And I did it for a while, but it just didn't have the effect that I imagined it would have. Which was a bit of a pity. It's a bit of a waste. But you doing it in your videos like that, this is what the anticipation. What you're doing now is what I intended with that, with the joke telling, to deliberately do things poorly. Right, the whole idea was to tell jokes badly,
Right.
and to get comfortable with being ridiculous, with being foolish, with being goofy, etc. And this is a great power. And if you want to rob a BMN of their power over you, this is one of the ways to do it. If you can laugh at yourself when they come at their crap, you just laugh. It's like, yeah, so what? You're trying to make me feel bad and ridiculous and shame me and belittle me. It doesn't work, because you know what? I can laugh at myself.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm the biggest. You rob them of all their power.
Yeah.
So it's massively empowering. I mean, I just cannot recommend it more highly. That's why I'm keen to see you post them into the group.
Okay.
I mean, even if I don't know, can I share directly from TikTok into the group?
It depends on the settings of the video. And I'm not sure how it works. If you screen share, we can look and see. I know it works.
I see the Facebook share there, so I should be able to.
In some cases, there's a download, because I'm not sure if the Facebook share actually shares the video, or if it shares like a link.
Because that is important, you see. So if it shares a link, then it's no good. But I will check this out now, and also I want to see if it allows me to share to the group.
Right. Okay.
Share,
yeah.
Yeah, and then share in group. Okay, this was now not the right one to choose here. All right, but I'll just share to my news feed then. Because this is not one that necessarily has any group relevance, other than just make me laugh. Okay, post to Facebook, but I mean, not that that's the negative, but if I start encouraging this too much, then I'm gonna get just bunch of knucklehead stuff.
Yeah.
So I just love that kind of wordplay. I don't know, I get a lot of joy out of it. So am I on Facebook now? No, I'm still on TikTok here. Now I'm on Facebook. Let's go to my timeline. So yeah. It does. So if I share it, it is as a link. Yes.
Yeah.
See, but when you share it, because you have the original video.
But see, I don't know if it lets you do it. I know it lets you do it on your phone, but in the so back on TikTok, on your phone, there is a way to say like save the video, and then
so I've got to share it on the phone then. Okay.
Well, I don't know if it does it. There might be an option for that on.
I see. I'm gonna look. I didn't look at all the options. You're right. I should have been more. I should have been more careful on doing this. Okay. Let me pick a different video now. All right. I'm just going to guess this one with Aurora is a good one.
Oh yeah, this was a trend. So yeah, background information. There was a trend using this sound that said, without moving, show me what someone would see if they FaceTimed you right now. So I did it like most people. It's supposed to be this beautiful picture of them, and then it shows you with what you really look like with the phone right up next to your face. So I did that with Aurora.
All right. So that's why not ideal because you need the context to appreciate it. Yes.
I don't
Yeah. Right.
know.
So I'm actually seeing EJ in this one. So I like seeing EJ.
Oh,
And
yeah, this one was showing them following me around.
yeah. Yeah. I only do this because I want treats. All right. All right. All right. I'm just practicing. Yes. So, all right.
So, oops.
Oh, you mean I had to do this before I get to the share part?
So I don't think so. On the phone, in the share settings, there is an option that has like download the video.
Okay. So right here now, it says just copy link and share.
And what's the one on the far right? Embed. Yeah. Okay. So it was interesting.
Okay. So that I'll do this. This is what I need to do. Okay. So now this will actually embed the video into Facebook, and the video will play there. So okay, all right, that's easy enough to do. Yeah. All right. So now if I go, this is a different way you do it. And now I have to go to Facebook. Where's my Facebook now? And make a post. What's on your mind? And I put in the embed code. And this should be how it works. I believe so. We'll see. That's how it usually works.
Oop.
Oh, it didn't work. Oh. Okay. Well, there's a way I can use this, but it will be a little bit longer. If I make a blog post, share my blog post with an embed code in it, then it will play the video directly.
Gotta be. I have to imagine I mean, it's very easy to do. This is why I was saying.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's why I was saying. I recommend using TikTok on your phone because it's just they clearly made TikTok for an app and not for the desktop. But I have to imagine there's a way. It was interesting because so like on the post that you shared, the last one of mine that had the link, when you clicked on it, it had the same option that I'm used to seeing on the phone, where it has a little arrow. And I wonder if it makes, so see there's like the heart and then the comments and then the share button. On the app, that little share button is where the save option is.
Hang on, the heart and then the comments.
No, it was on, the page just changed. It was.
Yeah. Because I clicked, I wanted to put the audio off.
So,
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that have? Nope, it's the same options. That's interesting.
Yeah. But this may be a different share to the other share.
It's possible. I don't know, but yeah, I'm
gonna try it and see.
There was something else that just popped up when you were on that last page.
See, I'm looking here. Okay, I can change it to public, obviously. Tag friends, check-in, feeling activity. What is this? Your story. Oh, it's to newsfeed or my story. Oh, I see. Or to both. Oh, I see.
Here you go. Unlike its mobile apps, TikTok's download option is not available on PC or Mac.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't enable that for.
I can just do it on the phone. I'll watch them on PC and then I'll do it on phone. So when I do the sharing, I'll just share it to phone. Because not like this one now. Yes, I shared it to my personal thing just because I find it funny, but the ones that are group relevant, like the one with the laughing, this I'll just share from the phone then, so no worries.
Yeah, it's very easy on the phone. That little arrow button, if you just go in there, then it has a, what does it say? Um, Save video. There's a button. You can see that. So if you click on the,
On the phone.
yeah, if you click on, where's my finger? The arrow, then it brings up the menu, and
One second, I had to go off screen share so I can make it bigger. Okay, show me again.
so on whatever video you're on, this
Uh-huh.
little button, the share
Yeah,
button,
the
click
share
that,
arrow. Yeah.
then it has all the traditional, like, share to whatever, but below that, there's this save video. Whoa, save video.
So see, now you're actually downloading the video, and then I actually upload the video into Facebook. Correct. So this is the way to avoid links.
Yes.
In Facebook, you have to upload it directly. Yeah. But the embed code, though, I know from my own videos, right? When I make a post on my blog,
Right.
and I use the embed code from YouTube, right? It plays directly. When I share that to Facebook, the video also plays directly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a secondary way to do that. You'd think that Facebook would have this embed code thing figured out by now, but all right, yeah. Okay, so let me just finish here and share you to the page. And now I have something to show you.
Okay.
Yeah. Some soul coolness. Okay, so we are on Edgy. You've seen all this. And I said, okay, what is this up here now? All right, okay, let me see. Am I screen sharing?
I think so.
No, I wasn't. Ah, dang it. All right, here we are. So we're on this page, right? Which you've now seen before and all this, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you're looking, all right, very nice and pretty. So by the way, I'm going to look at the sliders again. These sliders are very nice because when I upload the photos, I can select them all and it puts them all into the slider all at once.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. The only downside is that, I set this for 7. Maybe I need to set the settings to show more slides. But when you go narrower, it shows only 1, and on the phone, it only shows 1.
Right.
Right. Well, no, not everybody has their things set this way. Unless you're on a tablet, then it'll show this, and the phone shows that. So that's one unfortunate downside to it. And also, when you double click on it, nothing happens. Right. And I'm assuming that if you come and this is your kids, and the kids are showing, it's too small. You're going to lose the power. They need to be able to double click, read the drawings, and then I'll put in brackets there, double click to enlarge. Yeah. This is very important. So this doesn't allow for that. And unless I make the whole thing bigger, which is also going to now compromise, my how many I can have show on the,
Right.
like to me, above the fold, in other words, this is very important. Like, see, now I've got 2 above the fold, and this is very cool, right?
Right.
And, as you land, you see 2. And then, of course, you get an idea there's more, right? But anyway, I'll fiddle with it to get that. I think that's very important. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to show you. Just sort of a by the by. So, all right, you're looking everything. Hey, what's this up here? Let's see. Okay. Well, I don't know. Self-discovery. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, we see. All right. You've seen the website, I think, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we say, okay, we scroll. Hey, what do we have here?
I like it.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how this works is, I mean, I can scroll on this and keep going for a long time. It'll go on forever. When I share to the page, the nobilia.org page, I have a dynamic link which picks up whatever I share to the page.
Oh, very cool.
And it puts it on the website. Yeah.
I like it.
So isn't that cool? Yeah. So, if anybody comes to the website, they get to see what's going on, and obviously this is now what's going on Facebook, so. All right. So anyway, but they don't know, it just says nobilia.org. It's just interesting stuff, And
Right.
this one here, it's my latest post, automatically gets posted here.
Ah,
So
very cool.
yeah, I used to, when I was more active on all the various social media, in the same block, underneath these I had Twitter and Instagram and all this, but I don't post any more to make it significant. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But you know what? I could put a link here to your TikTok, just because I support you and you share awesome stuff. Yeah. In other words, I've got in these two columns now, I've only got 2 entries in each column, so it fills
Right.
up the column. But if I put another thing in there, it will shorten it a bit, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'll see if I can do it with if they have an app that allows you to have a dynamic link to TikTok.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Yes, yes, yes. In Facebook, it won't let you do it with a group or your timeline, only with the page, the dynamic. Oh, just by the way, yeah, yeah, just peculiarities. Anyway, that's all I wanted to show. Just
I like.
what the thing looks like. I might as well go through it all now, just in the interest of thoroughness. There's the book soon to be replaced by Hedgie.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll make a slider, and this is our current book, and then this will move. You see, it's it will then be secondary. So anyway, what I have here is, I think, this shows. Oh, is this just showing the book? Yeah, yeah. It's just more stuff on the book, but I'll add Edgy to that. Um, uh, just put on. Oh yeah, this is the one I wanted to show you. Future projects. Yeah, I wonder if I have Hedgie included in this or not. Rules of sentience. We haven't done that. Tools of change, fiction, screenplays, collected essays. It's like, okay, we've been busy. Well, I just thought I'd put them all in there, and it got so much, and then I was amused at myself that it took 3 pages. So I just thought, all right, I'll just have fun with it. So Council of the Gods. I'm just curious while you're here now to see what is here.
Yes.
The philosophy of appropriateness. So this is done. This is done. This is wave impeccability, in other words. Yeah. I mean, I should update that now, really. But the other series. All right. Anyway, so the thing I'm working on right now is to do the subscription list. And I kind of forgot. I set all this up and I forgot, because the way it works now is, if I make a blog post and you subscribe to the list, it automatically gets sent to you. Now, the list for the website it got screwed up, and it was all a problem, and they had false things on there. So now I've got 3 people on the list, and they're all me.
No. That's funny.
It's me as Soul, me as Nobelia, and whatever. So I used them to test. So I had lots of people on there, and I thought, well, it didn't really matter, because it didn't make any difference.
Right.
But certainly with Hedgie, I want to really make an effort to do this and follow up. So I have to figure out, or I might just make a category called Hedgie, and then I post on the blog. Okay, you know what? I sent Hedgie to the publisher, and this is what they said. Okay, this one said this and whatever, and just keep people updated. And then, okay, Hedgie's published. You can buy it here. You can get it in these stores, Amazon, whatever. And then share also when people give pictures, share them. Every now and then you just pick a random bunch and say, "Here we go. They're up. Go and check it," stuff like that. So that's what I'll probably do, actually, now that I think of it. See, that's why I like talking about these things to people, because you sort of just resolve that for me.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, all right, very cool. I like that you're on the front page now. Yeah, it's a pity the video itself doesn't play there, but I'll figure that out and then redo it again. So.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. Just a thought of the day. Were we reading something where the person said that they couldn't study, what they really wanted to study was consciousness, but they couldn't?
Yes. What was that?
Was that the guy with the story was the brain on story? I think it's that guy.
Could be.
Yeah. And anyway, somebody said when he was there. No, it wasn't that guy. It was somebody else. Anyway, so in a roundabout way, it's a guy that had to do with lucid dreaming.
Okay. Okay.
That's how it came about. So he couldn't study consciousness directly, so he studied lucid dreaming, right? And this is how he got into studying consciousness.
Yes.
But the point that he made, and I've seen it made many times, was that at that time, and I don't know, it's starting to change now, right? Because I've seen a few posts where it's now possible. But back then, which isn't that long ago, by the way, you could not study consciousness.
Right.
It was taboo.
Right.
Right, and the reason for this is that the eggheads said it's not possible.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, it's like, what do you mean it's not possible? No, it's not knowable. It's a waste of time. You cannot solve this. It's an enigma and a riddle and a mystery, and forget it. It's just a waste of time. But they were very anti it. It's not even to say, fine, we think it's a waste of time, but hey, if you really want to, go ahead. Yeah.
Right.
No, they banned it. I mean, like you said, it was taboo,
That.
really, which is fascinating. You would think in academia, the one thing that you would want to study is consciousness.
Right.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. And the reason for this, I feel, is because the essential understanding of it is such a ridiculous, preposterous that when people sort of clicked on it, they felt stupid and they didn't want to acknowledge that they were being idiotic all the time. And because this has come up now with, of course, the course that Bean is doing and I'm doing with art as a path to inner schooling via the Center for Jungian Studies, right?
Yeah.
So they use all, of course, it's conscious, unconscious, superconscious, id, ID, anima, animus. I mean, you name it. They've got every possible term for the various aspects.
Yeah.
But the one key point that they don't mention specifically, but imply and allude to, and you get a sense that if you told them, they'd be like, well, duh, and they'd feel a bit silly,
Right.
is that the moment that self-awareness kicks in, the self divides.
Interesting.
Yes. Now, see, you took it as you saw the profoundness of what I just said. You really clicked on, holy fuck. That just, excuse me, but that just is like, wow.
Right.
Duh, duh. Right? But I suspect in academia, when people started studying this, or somebody pointed it out with Jung or Freud, say, hey, dude, you know what? All of this stuff, psyche, this and that. You've got psyche and psychology. Well, what happens? Self-awareness, the self-divides, right? So I is more than one. That's how I got to I is more than one. Aspects is a sub part of that, but really the self-aware self is a duality at minimum. It can be more, it can be any number, but at minimum, it has to be a duality. It has to be, right? Now, not a duality in the normal sense, we mean duality as in opposites, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's just two. Anyway, this is such a big deal, but I think that it was pronounced taboo because the eggheads sort of got to and they felt stupid for not seeing this.
Right.
Because you've got, by the time consciousness came to be studied, in the 60s, really, when that became a big thing, 60s, 70s, right, with the old drug and everything, you've got decades worth of Jung and Freud already and all this, and this is just, I've never seen a psychologist, psychologer, or philosopher mention this and this basic duh.
Right.
I've never seen it mentioned, never, ever, 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 and it's so basic, right?
Yeah. That's so
And
interesting.
also, I think the stigma that multiple personalities has is a part of this.
Yes.
Oh, you can't go tell on people they've all their multiple personalities. No, they'll laugh you out of court. This is no. So self-importance, fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes me think now. Maybe that's a point to put into the course as under the topic of the non-obvious, right?
Right.
Oh, let me show you here real quick. Am I screen sharing still?
No.
No. Dang it. If ever I say, let me show you, and I'm not screen sharing, just say screen share. Just to update you, see, I got some pictures. This is from Bina of her nieces and nephews. This is the nephew. Yeah. So see, I added it. I added little drawings, and then remember I had the cats here.
Oh, yeah, that's cute.
So that was Hassan, aged 6.
Oh my gosh.
This is Gunsha, aged 9, and see, I split the cats up. See.
Aha.
I like that he's a bit hidden up there, right? So it's like you sort of discover them. This is Nabira, age 8.
Cute.
So, yeah. Just, all right, this is not same. This is more Nabira. So Gunsha did this all on one page. Now, what's interesting that you don't see here, Bina asked them to draw pictures of Hedgie just sitting, sleeping, talking.
Okay.
And right there is actually her saying is sleeping, sitting, smiling, happy, whatever. Some little caption, which you miss a little bit here, unfortunately.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's very interesting. So I thought I showed you these before, right?
Yes.
Oh, you did. Okay, so I'm just showing you the updates a little bit. You see the idea of what I'm after.
Yes.
You saw the not edgy too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. I know that one was there. That one was there. Yeah. Oh, there's another one from Nabira, and then this one fascinates me. This is by our son.
Oh, like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. I couldn't remember Sonic, but I figured this was Sonic. But why? It's well done, no?
It is.
Yeah. So anyway, I want more. I want to replace all of these. Maybe I'll leave one of the two, the cats in. Maybe I'll leave a few of these, the really cute ones, but I want to replace them all with user drawings.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't mean to get so digressed. I want to go to that. So I think this is in, where's Pop? PPM. I didn't call it Pop. I call it PPM. Right? The acronym for it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we could call it Pop, but then you lose motivation. So, all right, PPM, right? I thought of making it Pop'em.
Yes.
I could do that, Pop'em.
True.
But Pop'em is kind of long to say. PPM, what I mean? I don't know. So I thought to not into the modules, but in this basic introduction part, which is basic premises. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have inner aspects, memory, emphasis, computer model. Wow, I didn't actually. Oh, inner aspects, I is more than one. But see, inner aspects is different too. I'm just gonna say, so, I guess I'll just put I'll think of it later on, but yeah, I guess it falls under that. Yeah, rather than making it a separate thing. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it really is separate, no?
Um.
Well, they're related, but it's very important to understand the difference, because me having a exact twin, duplicate, double, it's my clone. My psychology is cloned. I'm talking to myself. That's very different to aspects which are subparts. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why it is actually a separate thing. Yeah.
Sure.
So what I'll do here is, okay, messes up my numbers still. Come on, seriously, really, bloody hell. Where'd my one go? Right.
I like that. Yeah.
It's essential to understand this because, look, these are the basic premises that help us understand motive psychology.
Right.
that are not motivation or motive connected. Yes.
Right.
So they don't flow automatically from motivation.
Mhm.
Most of our other understanding comes as a consequence of motivation. I mean,
Right.
you could take the entire psychology of the superiority paradigm, and you say, but Sol, you haven't mentioned that in here once.
Right. Right.
Because, I mean, I'll get into it at some point when we take the motivation of survival and we start extrapolating it, yes, and we compound it and we look at the very basics in the circumstances of scarcity.
Right.
And then we see how that psychology develops. If it developed in a non-scarce thing, or, well, there's actually abundance for the lions, but they're just freaking lazy.
Right. Right.
So their motivation is energy savings, which is to only kill one. And then, okay. So when we understand it, the whole psychology follows, correct?
Right.
I mean, you can figure it out. So, it's completely and utterly motive orientated.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So, but this is, and again, it will come up at some point, we'll reference it, but I don't want to put it as a basic premise. Yes.
Right.
Or at least these are basic premises uh, that aren't motive directed, right? Connected. So I should call this basic basic non-motivation basic premises, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very excited. All right. Unless you want to do this today, I not necessarily. So it's up to you. It's up to you.
Um. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I've been jabbering away 10 to the dozen here, but
So I did a little bit more of
oh,
this.
good. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm very much enjoying doing that program with you. This one, as I do more on it, and I've been busy with Edgy, so I haven't really done much on it, little bits here and there. But as I get to where we need to do it, then we can get really into it. You know what I mean?
I
So,
had done some of the slides a long time ago that I kind of came back to.
oh,
Um,
good. Good.
really
Oh,
enjoying
I wanted to stay there.
the motivation program. I mean, I think it fits really well with what we're talking about with hearing and helping. It fits really well with. It's actually really helping me thinking about that with my artwork and music and kind of thinking about how to motivate myself in these different things that I'm doing.
Okay. The reason I'm a little reluctant to get into the motivation and the psychology is because I feel that if we really get immersed in that, the hearing and helping may lose some of its allure.
Right, right,
And it's like it's hard to go back to things.
right.
Yeah. So I'm keen for you to get the full value out of the hearing and helping, because there is tremendous value out of it, and it is an application of psychology. Now you could say, well, wouldn't that really mean that you need to do the psychology first? And yes, it could do. So I'm in a quandary in which way to go first.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But absolutely, if you have the motivation and want to, we could certainly get into the motivation psychology. Absolutely.
Hmm.
This is where we are listening to hear more, right?
Gosh, I don't even remember. Let's see. But
I
before
believe.
I was gonna share, hang on, let me see. Oops, that's not what I'm looking for. Where did I
Yeah,
leave it?
this is where we were. Yeah. This hearing and helping, it's one thing to understand. It's quite another thing to have an applicable skill.
Yes, I agree.
So we can understand all we like, and I see this all the time, but people cannot use what they know.
Right,
They really do understand, but they don't know how to apply it.
right.
And now it's all wasted. And that hearing and helping is a skill. Yeah. And it's also from a self-knowledge, self-awareness point of view. Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
it's ridiculously powerful.
absolutely.
So, when you look at it, yes, it's geared around this idea of, it's using, and I should maybe change the start, but I did want to leave it for coaches. And I do make the point that, hey, the client's always you. But when you are not coming at it from a coach point of view, the way to come at it is as a really profound self-improvement program,
Right.
right? And that's the way we're doing it as. This is self-improvement applied. And also it is ability for you to know yourself. And
Right.
this is where the I duality came in. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you say the client is always you, the moment we understand we are a duality and we have to be, right? So we're constantly going back and forth, right? We jump onto the one, we jump onto the other, but they constantly keep getting updated, right?
Right.
By one. What happens to one happens to the other. They're there simply for perspective. But when we have a problem, or when you're immersed in a bubble, because I was talking about, feeling and believing the loop and all of this, right? This was earlier today. When we get sucked into those bubbles, and we get caught up in a feeling belief loop and all of the other stuff, and then the moment you catch this, right, and you try to break this habit, if in that moment you can say, oh, hold on, let me be my own client, right? Now you stop and you hear yourself, right?
Right.
You got up in irritation, right? Again, and I used the classic example, right? You irritated, and Bay walks in, and now Bay is irritating. Oh, you're so irritating. And poor Bay is like, what the fuck did I do? And
Right.
now you have an argument, right? Because they just walked in the room. They didn't do anything.
Right.
But to the person who's feeling the irritation, that person who walked in, they say, you being irritating. Stop being irritating. What am I doing?
Right.
See, they don't see this discrepancy. But in that moment, though, if you say, what did I just do? What's going on? And you split yourself into client and practitioner, wow, it changes everything. Yes. It's a massive, massive tool. So this understanding that we are a duality enables us to be able to hear ourselves and treat ourselves as client. And it's huge. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. A
Absolutely.
big deal. Big deal. It's so dear to me. I've forgotten to mention it. It's such an absolute the basic. It's the first time I mentioned it, I believe, right?
That directly, yeah, for sure.
Right. That directly, precisely. We've come at it in many other ways. I mean, the client is always you. I'm sort of taking it for granted that this is an established basic premise already. But I had not specifically so clearly, because when I mentioned it, you said, it was a new thing. Right. I mean, yes, it's a duh, it's an obvious, but it's an obvious that absolutely needs to be crystal clear, because it changes the way we think about ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right.
Absolutely.
Actually, I do have something else to share with you now that I think of it. All right. So I'm just going to make this a day of me sharing so far, and we'll get onto your things in a moment. But so I've got 2 minutes. I've got 2 minutes to share. Yeah. I don't know. I just like sharing stuff that's really kind of mourners stuff. Yeah. And particularly in the context of you and your sharings, um, I thought that you would appreciate this. Oh, oh, what am I editing here now? Is this it? I don't know, something. No, all right, never mind then. There we go. Yeah, leave. If I miss it, too bad. Oh, see, you didn't tell me I'm not screen sharing then.
Oh,
Yeah. I want to show you something. So, all
sure.
right, let's put it on
I assume you were doing
pause.
whatever.
What's that?
I thought you were bringing up whatever you.
I am. Could you hear that? The
Yeah.
sound? Okay. Because I increased the sensitivity as a result of this, of my filtering, because it was making me choppy. I never realized it because of this. So, okay, two things. Let me just play it for a little bit, and then you'll see. Yeah. I want that something.
Well, it was pretty choppy.
Oh,
I couldn't hear the
oh,
audio consistently.
yeah, that's the part I was worried about. It makes it very choppy. Yeah, yeah, because it's going through the background noise filter.
Yes.
So, but you got some idea of it, right? At least, yeah. No, this is just the other nonsense stuff, and I can't share it to you because she didn't make it public. So if you're not friends with her, so I can't share the link. But anyway, all right. Did you at least hear little bits of it?
A little bits. It was like
Oh.
it would kind of go and then get quiet and then go again. So
Anyway, if you can feel the mood of it, it's very moody, and it's like the start and opening sequence to a movie, particularly like introspective type of movie, thoughtful
right.
movie, depth layered, right? Um, so it's a pity if you're not getting the feeling. But I said this like opening scene of a good movie, and she just said, "No, I'm just doing errands."
Ah,
but it's in reverse. The cars are going backwards. Did you see that?
I did
In the
notice that.
beginning. Yeah, I didn't notice that. So nice little metaphor there, additional. But I thought, like from making little short movies and clips, this is begging for a voiceover of some kind. No.
True. Yes.
So anyway, so when I tried to do it with I didn't want. I thought, let me make up a story for this movie. But then I thought, nah, it's rabbit hole. I'm going to get stuck in there. So then I just thought, okay, what about a poem to read to it? And I have a poem of the exact right length. So I tried to do this, but then it came too choppy. And then I realized, oh my goodness, when I recorded it through Zoom, said, wow, you know what? Maybe this is affecting the thing. So I increased the filter.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was kind of another reason I wanted to share with you. Oh, just in terms of, from a creativity point of view, to use stimulus and depth and moreness, right?
Right.
Implication and that. I thought it was, it's a pity you can't really see it. Um, uh, that it really creates mood like crazy, and it's
Yeah.
simple, but
That's cool.
yeah. Anyway, all right. Pity about that. Anyway, so I'm going to do the voiceover now. I'm even more motivated because then I can share it.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to read the poem and record. Because if I use my Audacity with a headset,
Mhm.
it doesn't filter it out, and I can set the exact levels of how much that music is. Um, and then I'll ask her to just make me a copy of the video and just use my soundtrack rather than hers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then I'll share it. So
Like,
anyway, yeah. All right. Important stuff. So before we go into the slides, uh, anything been happening just in the week in general? All sorts of
so
stuff.
I was
Anything?
gonna say, I've been listening to Leonardo still, and
Ah,
it's so there are so many. I mean, as per usual, all of Walter Isaacson's books are fascinating to me, but it's just such an interesting
yeah.
book, such an interesting person. I'm learning so many things that I didn't know about him, but something that has really fascinated me in the last couple of listening sessions, he's really been getting into what made Leonardo. Well, for one thing, he's been getting into some of the notes that Leonardo made.
1 second, Erica. Bloody noisy door. Holy moly. He's been getting into what?
He's been getting into some of the notes that Leonardo made
Oh,
on scientific observations, and talking about how he really, like, there were multiple notebooks of his that he never published any of these.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Just,
And they were discovered, some of them were discovered fairly recently too.
yeah, it was just totally personal writing. And people have discovered these things since then. And it is astounding to me the number of things that he discerned through observation that became like laws of science hundreds of years later, that
Wow.
Leonardo, like, in his writing, you can see, he didn't formulate this, like, he wasn't going through the scientific method, like proving all of these different theories, but he was postulating on things in his notes based on observation that were spot on with things that were later proved. And the author, kind of the same way that he did with Einstein, he's really making this big point behind all of the stuff that he's sharing, that Leonardo was just a human. He did not possess these
Yeah.
otherworldly capabilities. It
Yes.
was really,
Yes.
like, basically, to me, what he's saying is his observation skills and his curiosity were what allowed him to discover these really interesting things about the world around him, because he asked questions of things that most people never really paid attention to. And then he applied that curiosity to just observing things. And through his observation, discovered all of these interesting things that for him were really done to facilitate his artwork. But
Yeah.
were these, like, really important things in science as well. And that has been such a fascinating thing to me, of, again, kind of confirming throughout history all of these people that, not just influential people, but I think specifically influential people like Leonardo, like Einstein, like some of these people did not possess superhuman qualities. They just applied simple concepts in a really specific way, and to me, Leonardo, the point that the author keeps making, and he keeps using the term discerning, he was a very discerning person. His discernment, his ability to observe things, to perceive things, to conceive of things, made him unique, not only
Yeah.
in his time, but throughout, human history. That he just simply by paying attention to things in a specific way, by focusing his attention on what he was observing around him, he discovered these incredible things and then applied it in a really specific way in his artwork, in a way that he was able to communicate these interesting things that he was discovering. And I think that's really fascinating. But one of the things that he talked about that I loved, and it reminded me of what you have said several times about communicating specific intent in artwork. He was saying that, I forget who, there was someone else, I don't remember if it was another artist or a philosopher or something, but there was someone else that sparked this idea in Leonardo's mind. But he was fascinated by, they said, there was some quote that they gave by whoever this person was that sort of sparked this idea for Leonardo, about how individual moments don't contain time, basically. Like a snapshot of something basically exists outside of time, but it's also a representation of sort of past and future. And there's this interesting paradox that exists there. So there's all these things in Leonardo's notes about, he was like very interested in motion and in being able to communicate motion in a statue or a piece of artwork. And he was really interested in the paradox of, I think it said he called it an arrested instant. So, this sort of
What a beautiful word. Arrested instant. Yes, this is Leonardo's term, right?
yes.
Yeah, I thought I've heard this before. Yeah, yeah.
The paradox of depicting an arrested instant in time, which contains both the past and the future. And he
Yeah.
wrote in his notes something about a single geometric point has no dimensions. And a
Correct.
line is a transit of that point. So a line shows a single non-dimensional point in terms
Correct.
of been and where it's going. And so he said, one of the quotes from his notes, I think, was the instant does not have time, and time is made from the movement of the instant.
Yes.
Which is
Yes. Without movement, we have no time.
right, right. Which is that's a fascinating concept to think about. But he said
Yeah.
that was this really big driver for him in his artwork was to figure out how to work with that paradox of the thing that your artwork itself is an arrested instant of something that exists really outside of time, but you want to indicate in the way that you're drawing or sculpting or whatever an impression of motion and an impression of the past and the future of whatever it is that you're drawing. So you want to indicate, you want to give the viewer an indication of where this thing has been and where it's going, even though what you're doing is just a snapshot in time. And I just think it's a fascinating way to think
Yes. Yes.
about communication, and not to me, not just in art, but in any kind of communication, in speaking, in writing, in whatever, to take that into consideration of how what you're describing now can sort of subtly indicate where it's been and where it's going, which is a really fascinating it's just a really fascinating concept to me.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Somewhere I have it, as a definition of time. Time is perception of movement.
Right, right.
Very simple. I have it somewhere anyway. But it's
Yeah.
very cool. Very cool. You made me think to add this now, right? Not this point on time necessarily, even though time is in there, but on genius and what is genius and what's lack of genius, right? So you've got savantism,
Mm,
which is a hyper emphasized, specialized brain.
right.
Yes, not necessarily the same as genius. To me, genius is simply the result, or for the most part, when I look at geniuses, right, it is the result and consequence of persistence, continuity, momentum, extrapolation, figuring out, thinking through to the end, and motivation to do so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
To me,
so all of this genius, it's not truly genius. It's not like they had some flash of inspiration. They simply took the time to bloody well figure it out and work it out, right?
it's application. I mean, it's
Precisely.
application of,
It's the doing of it. Yes.
and it's to me
Yes.
the application
Yes. Yes.
of
Yes.
very simple principles, right? It's not the
Exactly.
application of super complicated stuff.
Exactly.
It's just
Exactly.
tools.
Exactly.
And the thing
Yes.
that he
Yeah.
keeps bringing home with Leonardo is he keeps talking about how you can see through his notes that he often experienced moments. I forget how he words it. I can't remember what term he uses, but it's basically like kind of obsession. Like he goes through these times
Exactly.
of almost obsessive
Exactly.
application. of things, and not only application, but thinking. Oh, that was another interesting thing he said. There was a quote of his. Where did I put that? Um, where did I put that? The way he said it was so good. Um, Rats, where is that? Oh, there it is. Said he used drawing as a tool for thinking.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
I love that. And I think, I mean, you can
Yes.
see that so much that he used visualization, and so did Einstein. Einstein was a huge
Yes.
visualization guy.
Yes.
He used
Yes.
visualization as a way to help him sort of think things through. But to me, the things that he was thinking, and Einstein as well, the things that they were thinking through. Now, Einstein got into some pretty complicated stuff, but at the root of it all, what he was
Simplicity.
really thinking through was pretty simple
Absolutely. All he did was extrapolate and keep going, and the complexity built on itself. That's it.
application of this sort of, and I mean, tying into motivation, almost an obsessive thinking
Yes.
through, this
To
application,
the end. To the
yeah,
end.
application
Yes.
of just persistent coming
Yeah.
back to the same thing and going through it and going through it and going through it until you feel like you've reached the end point. You've thought it all the way
Exactly.
through.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
and it's so
Exactly.
fascinating. And I mean, I think in similar form, Einstein, Walter Isaacson makes the point about Einstein and his thought experiments about like what would it be like if you were in space riding alongside a beam of light. And he makes the same point about Leonardo, that both of them thought about things that most people just wouldn't think about. And it's not, I mean, to me, that is not, it's not like they were thinking about things that were really, I mean, again, Einstein did in a lot of cases, but at the root of what he was really doing, he wasn't thinking about things that were overly complicated. It's not like this is something that all of us can't do.
Yeah.
He makes this big point that a big thing that Leonardo kept coming back to was, why is the sky blue? I mean, that's a very, at the time wasn't simple because they didn't have an answer, but just something that most people wouldn't even think about.
Yeah.
And that's something really simple to do. Just observe. That's this big point he keeps making about Leonardo, that he had these incredible skills of observation to look at things longer than most people would.
There you go.
Would
There
observe,
you
like,
go. Yeah.
he talks about him observing dragonflies, and he would like go down to this
Yeah.
moat or something in Milan and like observe dragonflies in the evening. He made all of these incredibly detailed notes about birds and how they fly, how
Yeah.
they land, all these different things, and like looked at cross species and which ones move their wings down faster than they move up and which ones did the opposite. That he just observed things in a much more dedicated fashion than most
You
people.
really, really, really wanted to know.
Right. Most people would look at a bird flying and go, okay, and Leonardo looked at birds flying over and over and over and in detail
Yeah.
and really.
Right. And right. And this is how genius gets built,
Right.
because he's emphasizing and he's training his brain to of course, by observing and studying and putting two and two together, but wanting to know, you build up a database, and then you can do it more and more complex, right? So it's simple emphasis that makes his genius.
Right.
Same with Einstein, and same with Edison. All of these people, they know it's not an innate genius. Again, some people say, wow, how did you come up with this stuff? I said, what I do is nothing special about it whatsoever. I don't particularly feel clever. But one thing I will tell you, I'm exceedingly thorough and diligent.
Right.
right? I want to know. I don't give up until I freaking know. Yes. So when it comes to studying birds, I studied people. I still do. Every single freaking day of my life, and I made a study out of it, and I went to extreme lengths to study people. I mean, all right, I wasn't totally obsessed by it, which, I didn't allow that obsession to influence my life, because again, appropriateness, but still, in a way though, for most people, it's totally an obsession,
Yeah.
so. And also, just whenever I read, I always imagined what I would do to solve the problem.
Interesting.
How would I deal with it? Always, any movie, whatever. And not just in one way, alternative ways. Right. So you practice again. You train your brain to think creatively, to shift perspective, to be innovative, etc. So it's just emphasis. Boy, it's a big deal.
Another big thing they keep talking about with Leonardo, and that I think crosses over into what I remember about Einstein's kind of foundation of observation, is patterns, observing patterns, noticing patterns, paying attention to patterns, that they would observe what was happening around them in reality, in nature, in, here on earth, in space, wherever, and put together patterns of things that were similar. Especially Leonardo, they said that was one of the things that really set him apart, was his ability to recognize not only patterns, but the fact that things that were patterns in one part of nature were also patterns in other parts of nature. That everything.
Yes. In other words, abstract thinking.
Right. And that basically, if you want to know about how air works, but you can't observe air as easily as water, recognize the similarities between air and water, and take what you're learning about water and apply it to air. And then notice the differences, that, there's all of these patterns that you can put together, and that's really what led both of them to theorize on all these different things, was the recognition of pattern, again, simply through observation, just paying attention what was happening around them, and then questioning, why does it work this way? What can I learn from that? And I think that's so true about wave impeccability. I mean, thinking things through, to me, that is the process.
It's huge. It's huge.
That happen in your experience and others' experience, thinking it through, asking, why does this work this way? What's the pattern? What can I extrapolate from it? I think that's fascinating.
See, I was focusing on those freaking overcooked eggs, and that's exactly what I'm smelling now.
Oh no, not good.
That sulfur smell, Anyway, unless I've got freaking evil weevils under my house, or weasels or something, I don't know. To understand this, so this just made me think of this now, to add it in here. I guess I would have probably put it in under emphasis, but abstract, pattern, and fractal thinking.
Right.
So we in the Dictionary of Power, we fractalize data into the capstone. But it's equally important to have the skill of unpacking the fractal conception, right? So when we do this and we start to understand the pattern, the fractalness of things, which is beyond pattern, this also requires statistics in here. It's very important to have statistical thinking. To understand probability, in instance. In other words, just because something is improbable doesn't make it impossible. Right? That's not the way to spell statistical. Yeah, that's better. You leave out the second S, it doesn't work.
No.
Anyway, so but that ability to unpack the fractal, this is huge also, because that allows you to take the essence, the abstract essence, and to apply it elsewhere. Yes, so we've got to go both directions. And it's not directly motivation related. It is, when you understand, again, these are not directly motive. They're all indirectly, yes, but not directly. Because if you understand your motivation to know, to understand, then that last abstract pattern fractal statistical, it comes from the intense desire to understand.
Right.
You hear necessity is the mother of invention. No, think about it, dude. It's not, because look how long they didn't have flush toilets.
Right. Right.
I
Absolutely.
mentioned this before, and then the technology's there. It's the desire to improve or the desire to know, to understand. That is where creativity and invention comes from.
It's interesting because that's making me think about habits, motivation in relation to habits and habit
Yeah.
change. Habits are just patterns.
Yes, yes, yes,
Paying
yes.
and paying attention to patterns, being able to understand patterns, being able to
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
patterns. I
yeah,
mean, it's amazing how much that applies across the board.
yeah. So I'm going to make another course in the same way as you asked me about self-motivation. You asked me very earnestly about self-motivation, and then you pulled everything out, right? You had this floodgate. So, as a wizard, you went and waved your little magic wand and boom, it all came, right? So Cher did the same thing yesterday. She said, what exactly is deliberate living?
Interesting.
So, yeah, so we got 2 hours worth of it, but I got clever this time. I said, okay, as part of the exercise here, make a transcript of this. Right
Yeah.
now, I meant her to listen to the video and then write it all out. But she got clever. She has an app that allows you to essentially do, it pulls it.
Nice. Yeah.
So she texted messaged me earlier today. Do you want me to send you the raw unedited, or do you want me to go through it and then fill in, where it's unclear? And I said, no, fill it in, because that was the idea. I wanted her to transcribe it for the emphasis of it and the connectivity of it. But I will make a little course from that on deliberate living.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier because it's all there. All I have to do is just package and format and, give it titles and stuff like that. So not a big deal. But man, a lot came. And one of the points what made me think of it now was that habit is nothing but deliberate unawareness,
Interesting.
right? And a habit is a recurring deliberate unawareness intentionally set. Yes.
Right. Right.
Isn't that amazing?
It's interesting.
Now, can you have a deliberate aware habit? Yes, you can.
Well, and I'm thinking, I mean, deliberate unawareness. In some cases, I mean,
Yeah. Not always. Yeah.
in some cases, I would say, in my experience, it's a deliberate but unconscious unawareness
Yes.
because
Yes. Yes.
you're,
Yes.
it's again going back to your body having
Yeah.
its own agenda, your kind of subconscious mind having its own agenda. They are deliberately creating a habit out of
Yeah.
this behavior because it's energy efficient. A habit is in and of itself
Yeah.
conserving energy. So
Exactly.
it is a
Exactly.
deliberate unawareness, but not always necessarily a conscious deliberate unawareness.
A couple points too that came from earlier things. In that our essential duality, right? When we start to leverage this and use this, it becomes very potent because we are continually client and practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And one way to really see this is when we ask rhetorical questions.
Mm-hmm.
What was I thinking? Why did I do that? Right. I mean, I've recommended this many times. Always, always, always answer those.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, when you notice everybody else doing it, ask them, say, oh, yes, I'd actually like to know why. Please, could you say? And
Right.
see what happens. It's a fantastic study, right? When you say, and people stop like, what the fuck, and then they start thinking about it, and man, you see the stuff come, right? But now, in that moment when you said, what was I thinking? That is your practitioner self asking the client self the question.
Right.
Right? When we realize that we are constantly speaking to ourselves, this is incredible. Again, philosophy of opposite when applied to what hearing, and it's in the program somewhere. when we really hear, especially when people talk about others, how they are talking about themselves. Trump, when he said crooked Hillary and lying Ted, he's totally talking about himself, right? But he doesn't realize he's talking about himself. It's like I saw an article the other day. He cannot help himself but confess to his stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's again that duality. There's a real genuine person inside there that's popping the stuff out of his mouth and getting him into trouble. Why do you self-sabotage? It's yourself, your practitioner self trying to get the client self to wake the S up, right? Yeah. So it's massive in understanding so much otherwise odd and peculiar behavior. Hey, Joe.
Oh no, Joe's not home. There was some weird noise.
Well, then it's probably tack up on a cupboard somewhere.
Thankfully, no. He's actually being good.
No, you were just looking up. You see, that's why I didn't think it was the dogs.
A weird noise on the TV. I was trying to see if it was on the TV or if it was like something wrong with the TV.
I gotcha. So this is a big thing, when we really start to think of ourselves as this duality, and then in a spiritual way, the double comes in and all of this, and it gets all convoluted. I just think this is it. Your double exists out there. We just don't have the double in physical reality because it would be complicated. So the double exists in subconscious dream reality, energy reality, etc. Other point I wanted to mention quickly here, you brought this up when talking about the Leonardo and the genius. Yeah? And again, I saw a post where they were talking about Einstein and Charlie Chaplin. There was a photo of the two of them together, and a famous quote. And they said, well, you know what? Somebody said both of them were assholes. Einstein was an asshole to women, and Chaplin was into young girls. And then people got very defensive. Yes, but what would the world be like without their achievements? And so I chimed in and said, but you know what? If neither of them had done what they did, somebody else would have come along and done it, right? It's just the way the world works. Particularly, you've read Einstein's story, right? And his theory of relativity. There was another guy working on it. And Einstein even himself said that, the guy basically could have done it or had it first, but he never published and he never took any claim for it and all this, right? So a lot of that stuff is obvious when you start thinking about it.
Right.
Now, did they do it earlier than others? Of course, but not necessarily. Like in Einstein's case, he wasn't actually the first. There was somebody before him. But this guy never really went through with it and followed through. Also, Einstein happened to be the eye of the storm, right, at the time. I mean, Einstein is remarkable for socially at school and all this being out of it. But we have this idea of the modern days. Einstein is this loner, this nerd, this. He wasn't. He was very connected to his world around him, yes? I mean, remarkably so. In that college or at least the last high school that he went to, right? I mean, this was unbelievably, encouraging and facilitating. My point is that I really do feel that if Einstein hadn't come up with the stuff he has, the scientific community most certainly would have, because he didn't exist in a vacuum, right?
Right.
I mean, he was completely very, very connected. When we look at collaboration and use Einstein as an example of collaboration, or, relativity physics for me is a magical example of collaboration. Yes?
Absolutely.
None of it has come about in isolation. They're all feeding off of each other. Right. So sooner or later, it happens. What I'm trying to say is, we look at Einstein and we try and imagine from our limited perspective how this came about. But it comes about from accumulation of minutiae, persistence, continuity, thinking it through, collaboration, inspiration. The more you think, the greater your chances of getting inspired.
Right.
So it's not as remarkable as we think it is. That's my point. Yes. I don't want to diminish what they do, but I also want to say it's not such an impossibility, really. And all of them will say the same thing. Anybody could do it, should they have had that interest, that momentum, that continuity. And sometimes the spark makes all the difference. The thing that starts, it starts the point. It can be very trivial and random sometimes. Absolutely. But where I'm heading with this is what I've got highlighted there. In this understanding of genius, we also need to understand stupidity or morality or lack of sensibility. Now, I don't mean in classic terms, stupidity and morality. That's why I didn't say morality, I just said stupidity, right? We have to understand that people are basically shallow and unthinking and one-step logic and all of this other stuff. Why? Because lack of energy, lack of time, lack of motivation. So
Right.
this is for understanding psychology. It's very important to understand that when we understand motivation and how it works, we get into getting understanding, more complex behaviors. But we have to also understand that people are essentially stupid because of the lack of complexity.
Right.
Yes. And why that comes about. And also to understand that it's not that they are inherently so, they are simply not motivated.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So the psychology of the unmotivated, which is what number 9
Mhm.
is very, very, very important to understand, right? And it's not always that they're not motivated. They might be, but they don't have the energy all the time because they're just busy surviving. Yes. So very, very important to understand. Yes.
Absolutely.
In a non-directly motive thing. Of
Yeah.
course, our focus is understanding more complex psychologies. But I think it's very important to understand this basic psychology, because if you don't understand, the anti-vaxxers and conspiracy and all of this other crap, right? And it's important that we do. Now, yes, like we said earlier, much of that is from superiority paradigm nonsense. But also much of it is that people just simply don't have the time for complexity.
Right. Right.
And they rebel against it. It's like, I got to think. Thinking becomes painful for some people.
Yes.
Astonishing.
Yeah.
And it's very important to understand this, right? Very,
Absolutely.
very, very important to understand this. Yeah,
Absolutely.
very key. I'm glad that we had this because again, this is a work in process. Obviously, things come. So,
Yeah.
but that's important points that's added here.
I
Important
think
points that's added.
that's a really big point to me in terms of, again, the concept that I think Walter Isaacson, the pattern that he's sort of trying to drive home throughout his books and who he chooses to do a biography of, is that none of these people possessed some superhuman
Yes.
brain
Yes.
or ability to think. Really, the key determining factor was their motivation.
Correct.
It was
Exactly. And
more
and and not quitting.
through whatever it was that they were focusing on than other people.
Right. Some people are very motivated, but they don't continue. Right. They study like crazy and then they give up and then jump to the next thing. And they persisted, and that's important.
Right.
That integrity, that impeccability, in other words, to be thorough and scrupulous and diligent, that is the defining hallmark of their genius.
Right.
Yes. They didn't quit. They kept going with it. And
Right.
that's very important. Now, here's the magic of it. You say, yeah, but I don't want to spend my whole life specializing in doing one thing. You
Right.
do not need to. Understand one thing thoroughly, and you will understand most things well.
Right. Right. It's
Yeah.
true. It's very true.
I'm going to add that to my quote file. Yeah. Isn't that a good quote?
It is a good one.
Yeah. Understand one thing thoroughly and completely, and you'll understand much else well. Right. I have to clean it up a bit, but all right. I'm trying to avoid saying you because that's telling, and I try and make not to make things absolute. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. I like this. I like this. It's really potent. I'm keen to hear more. Like when you read the Irving Stone biographies. Well, two of them now, right? The one on Michelangelo, which is particularly relevant with Leonardo, because they were contemporaries, and then of course the Irving Stone one too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the Vincent van Gogh one. Irving Stone wrote the biographies on Michelangelo and Vincent.
Right.
Both.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember what the one on Michelangelo is called.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
another thing that has really stood out to me, and I was thinking about it last night, and it made me go back to thinking about conception versus perception versus perspective and all of that again.
Ah, right, right, right.
They they were talking about, the author has mentioned multiple times that essentially Leonardo would observe something in nature, and through recognition of patterns and all these other things would conceive of something in nature applying to another thing in nature, or to, basically taking one thing that exists in reality that is observable, and then conceiving of it applying in places that we don't observe. And that was what drove a lot of his creativity. And that's a theme, like I've seen that in the art course that I'm doing, where I was telling you, the girl, like we were drawing the hedgehog skull. She, in her artwork, she is really into kind of fantasy type, like realistic fantasy, creating these like interesting creatures that don't actually exist and that kind of thing. And she talks as well about how, in order to do that well, you have to have a basic foundational understanding of things that exist in reality, and then you apply those concepts to new imagined things. And Leonardo, I think, did that a lot as well, that he would take things that he observed in nature. Like there was some passage where he was talking about drawing a dragon, I think, and he said, well, if you take the neck of a snake, and you take the head of a
Yeah.
cat, you take the body of this, and you kind of put it together. And that was a this whole concept has been really helpful for me, because, as I've said several times now, my brain sort of naturally gravitates toward taking something that exists in reality and putting that exact thing on the page. When I get into having to create some new thing just sort of out of my imagination, that's when my brain kind of locks up and goes, I don't know what to do here. And it's been so helpful. Like I was thinking last night, this is where I got back into the conception versus perception and everything. What's really stuck out to me from what the author's saying about Leonardo and from the art course and all these different things I'm hearing is that really all of our conceptions, especially creative conceptions of things that don't necessarily exist, are all at their root based in reality. And I was thinking about last night, it kind of has to be that way, because can you conceive of something that is completely not founded in perception of reality? I mean, anything that we conceive of,
My evil mother-in-law.
well, but still,
I know. Just the first thought. I don't even have a mother-in-law, but I just thought, yeah.
that's
No,
a
I hear you. I agree. I agree. Yeah, yeah,
cool, because again, this is a person, a
yeah.
woman, right? Like this is at the root, it is based.
I've actually done this exercise many times to
Yeah.
try and imagine things which have never been thought of before.
I mean,
Difficult. It's difficult.
that's how conception works to me,
Yeah,
is you take something
yeah.
based foundationally on a perception that we have of reality, and then we build upon it. And
Yes,
and
yes.
that is really helpful for me, because my brain struggles so much with this idea of creating, drawing, thinking of
Yeah.
some, thing. I mean, I can think of things that don't exist, but to think about how would you go about expressing that, showing that in a way that it's actually plausible, right? Not just some blob or some
Yes, yes, this is very important. This is very important. That plausibility is very, very, very important.
in a way that it could be real, you know, that it
Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
real.
The moment you start to take something imaginary and you make it plausible, you end up creating a universe.
Right. And so for me, this idea that all of that type of conceptualizing is founded in observation of reality. And it's really just the application of things that exist in reality in a new way. You know, you're applying, like, for example, Leonardo did all these drawings of, you know, he was trying to figure out how to build something that would make humans fly
Yeah.
from their own generated power.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
not an
Yeah.
airplane, you know, something where a person was like flapping their
Yeah.
arms or whatever and they could fly. And all that is taking an observation of flight. You know, flight as a concept exists in reality with birds, with certain mammals, and he was taking that concept from reality, but applying it to people where
Yes.
we don't see it actually exist.
Extrapolating, in other words, right?
Yeah, that really that
Yeah.
is all conceptualization is taking
Exactly.
something from
Exactly.
reality, something from observed reality, and putting it in a new context,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is so helpful for me because my brain just struggles
Exactly.
with that idea of,
Exactly.
well, how do you take this
Exactly.
thing that,
Exactly.
like, how would you draw something, for example, that you've never seen before and make
Right.
it realistic?
Right.
My brain
Right.
just goes, ugh. But when you say,
So
well,
context shifting, extrapolation, etc. Those are tools that help for imagination.
when you say we just take things that do exist and that you can observe and just apply them in a different way, put them in a new context, that is so helpful to my brain. And it got me really thinking again about the conceptualization
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
all of that.
It's very powerful. You know, all those tools where we did all the shiftings,
Right,
they aren't only, you know, tools for self-motivation. We're going to come at it through self-motivation, but they're also thinking tools.
right,
We are just applying it to motivation in order to understand psychology. But if we want to be creative, we can apply those same thinking tools to being
right.
creative, to being productive, to being thorough. You know, like an engineer, you've got to have perspective shifting to test your thing, right?
Yeah.
You're not inventing or creating anything. You've got a machine and but you got to test it from different perspectives. You know, like safety testing and stuff like that. So yeah, those are thinking tools, which are very, 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 very powerful. I wanted to show you something here real quick. I actually didn't know this, which is very cool, but it makes sense. Again, screen share. So the book is called The Agony and the Ecstasy, right? The one on Michelangelo, and the
Okay.
one on Vincent's Lust for Life. The Agony and Ecstasy is a biographical novel of Michelangelo Buonarroti, should be, comma, sculptor.
Right.
Yeah, that was his big thing, right? Anyway, written by American author Irving Stone. Stone lived in Italy for years, visiting many of the locations in Rome and Florence, worked in marble quarries, and apprenticed himself to a marble sculptor. And then obviously there's more.
Cool.
Now that's pretty cool, no? I
Absolutely.
didn't know this, but it makes sense because you really get a feel of living this.
Right,
So
right.
wow, that's very good to know. That's very good to know. So that makes it worth, you know, adding a new biographer. I know you like Walter, but I think that Irving will he will grab you too. Yeah, yeah. You know,
Absolutely.
that's interesting. I never thought of him as an American author,
Oh yeah.
and that's quite a compliment. Yeah, yeah. Most American authors are quite obviously American if you have grown up with non-American authors. Yeah,
Right.
I mean you know, I mean, yes, I know people love Steinbeck and love Hemingway, but seriously, you know, in the pantheon of writers, they're a little shallow, if you ask me.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry. You know, I know people make a big fuss and hoo about them, but seriously, they don't have much depth to them. You know,
Right.
So, and that's sort of a bit pervasive with American literature in general. It's built on that Einstein, the Hemingway Steinbeck type model, right? Kind of basic, it's fairly simple, because, well, you're writing for a different audience. I mean, by the time Americans started to really read more widespread, American as a culture was a very new culture. Yeah.
Right.
So Steinbeck and Hemingway are sophisticated for the psychology of the culture. But you go
Mhm.
over to Europe and it's like, seriously, dude, where you coming from? This is like all that stuff, right?
Right.
So yeah, again, Americans just when you ask, like, if you look up now, when I Google, and I did this, by the way, it's an exercise. I Google like classic novels, best. It's just the lists are just filled with American stuff. It's like there's no conception of literature anywhere else in the world. It's astonishing. By the way, I looked up novels, Nobel laureate winners for literature, and they're not awarded for a single book. They're awarded for your work. I think you know that, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then I went to the online library to find these in audiobooks. I think I found one or two. Yes, wow. And I don't even think I found the key books. I just found the author, not the ones that are their best known works. Yes. How in the hell does your library not have these? Okay, they're audiobooks, but still, you would think that this would be, if I'm putting a library together, well, first thing you put together your Nobel winners, Pulitzer, okay, in science fiction. I don't know what the other things for Booker, Hugo, Nebula for science fiction and fantasy, etc. Right? You have all of those. Plus, you have the people that are nominated, right? It's not just the winner, there's the nomination. That's 10 people at least every year.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty soon you're going to have a library just of that.
Yeah.
But that's not what the libraries are, which I find really, really, really fascinating.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's like blew my mind. How is this not so?
Yes.
Also, this is something worthwhile to look up, to go to the page in literature specifically, and they award the prize, and then they say for, yeah,
Right.
and then to read again. If you just go to Nobel Prizes, I don't know, whatever their website is, and you look up Nobel Prize for literature on their things, right? And then they'll give all of the year and why.
Right.
That little one line of why is very, very, very revealing.
Interesting.
When you read much of them, can you put it up?
Let's see.
Yeah. Just by way of, since we're now talking about literature and all of this stuff and reading, by way of inference, and again, a part of genius is looking at inference and implications. Yes. Second stage, third level. Again, it's another form. Implication is another form of extrapolation, is it not?
Say that again. Implication is another form of extrapolation.
Yes, yes, just in a different direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, extrapolation is typically going into the future, and you could say implication is taking the known and taking it into the past, or going sideways with it. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be the same mental gears, the same CPU that's running this. You know what I mean?
Right.
The same basic programming, just a different contextual application. So, do you see what I'm saying about the Nobel when they say the prize awarded to so and so for?
Yeah. So I pulled up the latest literature, the 2021 prize in literature. It says it was awarded to Abdul Razak Gurna for his uncompromising and compassionate penetration of the effects of colonialism and the fate of the refugee in the gulf between cultures and continents.
Wow, that's longer than usual.
Quite
So
a mouth.
do they have a link there for Nobel laureates for literature where you can see all of them?
Um,
You're on the Nobel page, yes?
yes. Here's a facts one.
Oh, there's not a link for Nobel laureates in general, the whole list?
I just found it. I just had to search.
Okay, okay, good. Can you screen share, please, if you don't mind?
Oops, that's not what I was trying to do. Oh, Lord. Nope, go away. Okay.
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah. So you see the next one there, Louise Gluck. I thought I'd heard this name, and I looked for her, but no, nothing. Oh,
I came across recently someone I was saying the other day that I was appreciating Laura, stop. I was appreciating the people in the Patreon for the relaxing voice podcast guy.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the people said she was making a joke, something about when she won her Nobel Prize for literature, she would thank me in her speech because I gave her some kind of encouragement. And I was like, that made me think. I don't think I've ever paid attention to the Nobel Prize winners in literature, and that's a really
Yeah, yeah,
interesting
yeah.
genre. So I looked it up, and I think at that point, I don't remember.
Right.
I don't remember seeing this guy, but I do definitely remember her name
But read the little blurb there. Yeah.
for her unmistakable poetic voice that, with austere beauty, makes individual existence universal.
Right, right. So keep reading these. Keep reading these, because after you read a couple, you start to see the pattern. That's what I'm after here.
Okay. Peter Handke for an influential work that, with linguistic ingenuity, has explored the periphery and the specificity of human experience. The only pattern I'm seeing so far is lots of superfluous verbiage.
Yes, but keep going, keep going.
Um, okay, I have to like think about what they're even trying to say. They're using
Yeah, 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 yeah,
putting lost in translation. Influential work with the linguistic ingenuity has explored the periphery and the specificity of the human experience. Okay.
right. So there, right there is the key, the human experience,
Right.
individual existence, universal human experience. It's the same thing. Form of life, the boundaries of the form of life. See, human experience. Yeah. This is the common theme, right? Yeah. Beneath our illusory connection to the world. You see, it's same thing. Yeah. A monument to suffering and courage in our time. Again, human experience, right? So this is the theme. In all of this, if you go through it, you'll see this is the theme. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, is that kind of the point of?
I think so. I think this is the focus of the committee is absolutely focused on works which do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is their understanding of what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's a really vague statement.
All right. Well, look what he said. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
As described. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really vague statement. The person who shall have produced in the field of literature the most outstanding work in an ideal direction.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I know that the ideal, I guess, is to take the human experience and not necessarily write about suffering, but to write about it where you are pushing the boundaries of what could be. So you're extending the possibilities of conception of what the human experience could be. Yes, I mean what he is writing is basically the Biela series, isn't it? Now that I see that, I missed this thing actually.
Yeah, that's very vague. Um,
Yeah,
blah, 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 blah. Yeah, nothing here really gives a super sound
yeah.
description of what they're going
Yeah,
for.
how many Nobel laureates can you name? Not that many.
Yeah.
One is Doris Lessing, right? Now, this is a name that I know. Again, I would have thought, okay, American, Doris Lessing, um, you know, yeah. Oh, what criteria?
Okay. And there needs to be someone who writes excellent literature, someone who you feel when you read that there's some kind of power, a development that lasts through books. And, oh, okay. All of their books, that the world is full of very good excellent writers and more to be enjoyed. It's very difficult to explain what that is. Divine spark, interesting. For me,
Yeah.
that I hear in the writing that I find within this particular writer's work and nowhere else. It's very difficult to explain, but I always know it. See, but I mean, that's such
Oh, it's ridiculously subjective. It's terrible.
because you could say, well, nominate J.K. Rowling for the Nobel laureate because she has a voice that you don't hear anywhere else. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's about literature and literature quality. See, she doesn't qualify as literature. Now, I belong to a couple of those writing groups, and every now and then people say, and I belong to a group that is specifically literary fiction. Yeah. And they say, what makes it literary? And nobody
right,
can ever answer this.
right. Yeah, this is
So to me, I think it's an affectation that you need to figure out if you want to write it and tune into that.
right. Yeah, that's very vague.
Isn't that fascinating?
It is. It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
So as much as I like to read them, at the other side, I say, no, it doesn't really matter because, yes, some of the works, they have to have inherent value.
Right.
If they help me understand the world and understand myself, yes. Other than that, sorry, that's just because you think it's pretty. No.
Right.
So to me, understanding Harry Potter is of great use to me in
Right.
understanding the world. Yeah. But not only Harry Potter, because now you read Herman Hesse, and at the time, Herman Hesse was exploring Jungian stuff and all. He was a friend with Jung, and he didn't bring it directly, but he was exploring the subconscious and spirituality, and particularly how Western applied it and all this. So, it was a big deal at the time. I don't know if he'd win it today, but yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, but yeah, it's just fascinating how this is not so well regarded,
No,
and I find that very interesting. I
it is
find that very interesting. Yeah,
very interesting indeed.
yeah. Just it's from a psychology point of view to understand how the paradigms in our world are sometimes set up on very, very flaky, uncertain ground. Yes,
Right.
very nebulous criteria. It's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
It is for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very, very big deal. Very big deal. Very big deal. Any more drawings?
No, I have
I
not.
will ask you every time now, not because I'm going to be a pest, but because I'm interested.
Yes, yeah, I usually do most of my drawing on the weekends when I have more time. So hopefully this weekend
So
I.
that's what I wanted to ask you. When is when is the drawing classes? What day?
It's just on whenever they're
Oh,
pre-recorded.
oh, they're online. Oh.
So,
Ah, brilliant.
so hopefully,
I'm excited to see more. I'm excited to
yeah.
see more.
Hopefully this,
And also, talking about drawing, I would very much, you know, uh, I don't know how to say this now, but the other sky drawing to share it. If anything, if nothing else, just maybe as in the comment on Bina's sharing of your thing. I was telling Bina about it. I said, "Wow, you got to see the other one. I really love the other one too. It's really gorgeous."
well, thank you. I appreciate
Actually, I think I prefer it of the two. Those trees, man, they're huge. Yeah.
it.
Anyway, so I know I just like to see it. So
Okay,
yeah,
I will do it.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
all right. I gotta
Brilliant,
go get
brilliant,
something to
brilliant.
eat.
Yeah, I feel a tad unproductive today. I got to tell you.
Oh, I don't.
Oh, good. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, just that point though. It's such a big point of our duality, and you really, when you think about this, it's going to change a lot in your psychology. I'm surprised it's never come up before, but hey, stuff happens that way. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
duality is, I think, one of my life themes. It seems to come up all the time. So,
yeah. Now, again, in this case, I should rather say not our duality, but our two-ness, which is
right.
different because a duality implies an oppositeness. And no, we are talking about a two-ness, our cloneness, our twinness, which
Right.
is different, right? But when we understand ourselves as a two, we have to be, when you're self-aware, changes
Yeah.
everything.
Absolutely.
Our language makes the two a one, but that's a fault of the language.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I have it. Yeah, language and conceptuality. Our language affects our psychology
Yeah. Absolutely.
massively,
Abs-
massively, massively, massively.
Absolutely.
Very, very, very cool, Erica. Very, very cool. Very cool. Yeah,
Thank
yeah. I'm gonna go and binge on some Erica videos now. I'm
Okay.
lazy.
Go get some food.
Brilliant, 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 brilliant. All right. Bye bye, Erica. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.
I will talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
See you soon. See you soon. Yes. Bye bye. Bye bye. Ah, no magical.